Hello, my friends. Another week passes here in Bakersfield, California. My name is Kathryn Halling, and I'd like to tell you about what happened while men were sleeping. All right, let's jump into it. So, July 15th, we had a city council meeting where we were looking at having a sanctuary city. And a bunch of people came out and spoke. It was on the news. City councilors responded to it. It has been on the minds of the members of the city for the last couple weeks. And so last night was August 5th, and the community came out in response. So I just want to give a little reminder. I'm just going to show, some little clips. So I'm not going to share a bunch of clips from last week, because they've been all over the news, but this one guy is just screaming to be heard. So I'm going to make sure that I show him.
I'd like to start by talking about some of the demographics of our community. Bakersfield's a predominantly Hispanic city, population 55%. We are politically considered a red city, yet we are home to 78,448 registered Democrats versus 78,731 Republicans. We have between 3,400 and 4,500 Muslims in the greater Bakersfield area. We have 250,000 to 300,000 non-Christians living in Bakersfield, and this includes an estimated 70 to 80,000 persons who identify as belonging to other world religions. We employ between 4,800 and 5,000 full-time teachers from K through 12 in Bakersfield. There are just shy of 130,000 K through 12 students enrolled in Bakersfield Public Schools. And according to the National Institutes for Health, as many as 10% of those students may be LGBTQ. There are an estimated 19,000 to 22,000 gay people living in Bakersfield.
Okay, so what he ends up doing is he keeps going on with stats as though the number of stats will equate to a large percent of the population, which many of his stats don't, but that's a common tactic. But no, you're not allowed to have signs inside the city council meeting, so he just wears them on his shirt. And I'm so surprised that no one has called him on it. In fact, he showed up at the last city council meeting as well and did the same thing. He's a character for sure. But one of the beautiful things about how this representative republic works and what a free country is like is that you can come out and say what you think. And so it's a beautiful thing. But what I really want you to keep an eye on is how many people are behind him, and then I'll get you, here's a view of that same day. Usually people will stay and then they'll leave right after. This is mid-public comment. So just to give you an idea of how full it was, let's move on to last night. Look at that. That place was filled. Absolutely filled, which is wonderful. It is wonderful to see that people are coming out to something that they feel passionate about. Now, one thing that I was really disappointed to find was that there were people in town, even on the conservative side, or so they say, on the conservative side, that agree with people who came out against the sanctuary city, that said, oh, it's not on the agenda, don't even worry about going out. Or I heard someone talking about how Scott Cox this morning may have said something in the line of like, what's wrong with you? It's not on the agenda. It's 107 degrees. Like, are you dumb or something? It's not a direct quote. It's from someone else, but who cares if that's really what he said, but it's the sentiment that there were consultants coming out who I would think would be against Sanctuary City. Don't worry about it. Don't go out. Don't go to city council. It's not even on the agenda. And I just thought, isn't that unfortunate? That even people who might agree that, Bakersfield wants to be a rule of law city wouldn't say immediately respond. And I was so shocked that we wouldn't want an immediate response, from the powers that be or the voices that are heard. Why would we not want an immediate response to something like that? And we have this forum in which to do it. Now it's cut to 20 minutes and 25 people put speaker cards in, but at least we had several people heard. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that people would come out and let their voices be heard, and that we would have a full chamber, which is great because there were other issues going on that need people to pay attention to. So I do want to play one clip from someone who came out on the other side, which is where I stand. I do not agree with becoming a sanctuary city. We're already a sanctuary state, and I don't agree that we should pick and choose who follows the law. I believe that the law is very important, and so let me play her clip because I think she was pretty fantastic.
Thank you. My name is Charisse Zaleski, and my question for tonight is, who are we fighting for? Because it seems like the people who are living in Bakersfield are being forgotten. Our police department is already overburdened, understaffed, and under-resourced. Our officers make call after call while not being asked to do more with less. They deserve our support in the strain that is already on an overwhelmed system. If you look around our city, homelessness is no longer hidden. It is on our sidewalks, in our parks, throughout our neighborhoods. Human beings are suffering, businesses are struggling, and taxpayers are paying the price. Then, I suggest that we look to downtown Bakersfield. This should be the pride of our city, a thriving destination for families, restaurants, and small businesses. Instead, too many storefronts sit empty, too many businesses have closed, and too many people have avoided downtown because they no longer feel safe. And in the middle of this, we are discussing policies that could place even a greater demand on our police, our emergency services, our housing, and our taxpayers. I would imagine that everyone sitting in this room today have locked the front door of their house, or perhaps they even locked the doors to their car. Not because we lack compassion, but because you understand that boundaries need security. Government should operate with the same common sense. Your first responsibility is not to make a national political statement. Your first responsibility is to serve the people who elected you. Before we become a sanctuary city for anyone else, let us become a sanctuary for the people already living here. Support the police, restore our downtown, address the homelessness, bring jobs and investment back to Bakersfield. The citizens of Bakersfield deserve to know that they come first. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought Teresa did. I thought she did fantastic. Really, really a great job, and I think she nailed it. Let's pivot over. The other big issue last night was the bike lanes. I was over on the east side last night for a meet and greet. You know, running for city council. I really want to meet the constituents of this ward and get to know what's bothering them. I know what's bothering me. It was really funny that one of these gentlemen that I was meeting with said, I just can't stand all that green paint. You know, and obviously he's talking about the bike lanes, and I laughed a little at the moment, but his concerns were valid. And that came up because we passed something last week alluding to, you know, we're going to adopt this mentality as a city for what we're going to do about bike lanes. And now here we are, you know, really trying to put it in action. And so I'm going to play a couple clips from both sides. Every time something bike related comes out, Bob Smith has his guys that come. You know, we know that Bob Smith is the Bakersfield guy. We call him Bicycle Bob in all love. He's the only guy I ever see riding a bike downtown. But let's see what his guy had to say.
Mayor and council members. My name is Zachary Griffin. I'm a local educator, and I'm a founding board member of Current Cycling Coalition. Our mission is to educate and empower people for active transportation. I just want to, first of all, I'm here to support the measure, and I want to concur that the measure and sort of maybe provide a little information. I've been doing this with Mr. Smith and many others for many years. We've talked about this particular national standard many times. So if you weren't aware of it, we have discussed it. But I want to emphasize something that sort of I was going to say this in my previous comments, but we'd kind of run out of time with our previous conversation. The other day I was watching our current chief, and I apologize, I think it was Brent, I think it's Strathmore, discuss sort of roadway issues here in Kern County. And so as he was talking about some young kids who are riding wheelies, he then segued to an issue that is probably one that's more prevalent, which is our DUI fatalities here in Kern County. I think we have 25 DUI fatalities. So to say that automobiles don't have a cost to our society directly or indirectly is kind of ridiculous.
Okay, no one is arguing that automobiles don't have a cost to society. So off topic, the kids doing wheelies, yeah, they're putting themselves in danger and everyone else in danger because they are not following the law. This has nothing to do with whether or not there are bike lanes. They're riding where there are bike lanes, and they are still choosing to create a ruckus. And yeah, those parents need to get involved.
The benefits of lowering our healthcare costs, whether people are getting out of their cars and riding their bicycles like old men like myself, which learned it from other old men who used to do it all the time. My parents grew up, went to BHS, rode their bikes. So it's such a crazy new concept. However, because someone isn't doing something that's good, is no reason to disdain it or throw it away. This
Again, we don't disdain it, don't want to throw it away. Not a
guideline does not throw tons of money at anyone. It just allows people to achieve a larger scope of design standards when they use it. So study up on it if you're not aware of it. NACTO guidelines are fairly easy to find and very easy to sort of educate oneself on. But quickly to note, when we were discussing and when I was thinking about the comments that Mr. Strathmore made, I was thinking about these young people.
Mr. Griffin, you've timed
I'm
this
going to
up.
wrap it up right here. And I was thinking about how these young people felt like many people in this chamber, that they don't have a voice. And here these young people are out there doing something. They're not on their phones. They're outside. They're engaging in the world. We have a duty to provide them a safe space to grow and develop. Thank you.
Okay. We do have a duty to provide them a safe space to develop. We do not have a duty to coddle their behavior and change the how we function in the world around the poor choices of youth. That's absurd. That is absurd. And so much of what is going on in our culture comes back to that over and over and over again. That we need to coddle as the adults to poor choices of youth and others. That is wrong. Let's skip over to, I think, the best comment of the night. The most well-articulated and logical. This guy was on fire.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Craig Braun. I'm an attorney. I've been a resident of Ward 5 for over 30 years. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, for serving us there well. I'm speaking out against the resolution tonight. I think it basically is trying to solve a problem by swallowing everything in its path. This is not a bicycle safety resolution. This is a wholehearted, full-throated planning that tells the planning department how they're going to design our cities. There is discretion where they can ignore it. There's already a July 15 resolution that was passed that changed an ordinance that said what we're trying to adopt tonight is already an approved standard. The question tonight is, are we going to start mandating it? Now, what's really important is there was a grand jury report that came out, and some of the speakers have already echoed this. One of the things that was required to be done is automobile and bicycle traffic counts should be considered. I don't know if that's been done. I drove here all the way from Southwest Bakersfield, Mr. Coleman. I did not see a bike at all. I don't see bikes. When they took Buena Vista and they got rid of one of the lanes going south, turned it into a bike lane, I still don't see bikes on there. The goal of the city isn't to tell people how to travel, where to travel, when they can travel. It's to say, how are people actually living? We don't live in Fantasyland, we live in the real world. People drive big trucks. This standard says you can reduce lanes to 10 feet wide. If you own a GMC 2500 mirror to mirror, it's 9 feet, 6 inches on either.
Looking at what you're about to do, which I think is a big undertaking affecting just about everybody who lives here in Bakersfield, should not be taken lightly.
So, amen. The role of the city is not to dictate how we live. We have a vision for Bakersfield. And our city council should be implementing our vision, not dictating how we are to live. I understand that people love to ride bikes. And in fact, there's another man who gets up, he's done triathlons, and he says, when I want to train for my triathlon or ride my bike, I go to our bike path. It goes all over the place, and it's just for that purpose. So it's not that we're trying to keep people from riding bikes, but the reality of the situation is that that is not our city. So if you know anything about my story, you know that I lived in the city of Chicago. I could hear Wrigley Field from my house for years. And well, I mean, not years and years, 3 years. So we lived in Chicago for 3 years. I rode my bike all over the place. And everybody rides their bike all over the place. Are there bike lanes? Sometimes. The roads are complete crap there. They are horrific. People complain about roads in Bakersfield. These things are smooth and so nice compared to streets in Chicago. But everybody rides their bike. And the culture of the drivers is to watch out for bikes. You don't always have a bike lane. You certainly don't always have a protected bike lane. But that's the culture there. People even ride in winter there. It is hardcore. That is not our culture here. Everything in Chicago is close. Everyone rides their bike everywhere. You can make it work. Even when it's cold, you can make it work. But we don't have that culture here. That is the reality, is that we do not have that. It is too dang hot. It is too dang hot. So yes, maybe people rode their bikes to BHS, and so therefore we changed the whole city to be bike friendly. No. Some of these areas have become incredibly congested because of these bike lanes that no one is using. And so let's flip over to Terry Maxwell, who puts it perfectly.
You've heard of the tyranny of the minority. When you consider how many people are using our bike lanes, which I doubt that anybody's done a study of, but we did a study about 10 years ago, and it showed that the number of people using our bike lanes was infinitesimally small. And here you are about to change all of the modalities of how we get around this town to accommodate an extremely small number of people.
There it is. There it is. It is an extremely small number of people. We live in a constitutional republic. This is by design to ensure that we don't have this problem of tyranny of the minority. So I really enjoyed riding my bike. I love the idea of being able to get around without a car. It would be awesome. It's cheaper. You don't have the same maintenance. I don't have to pay for ridiculous gas prices. That would be awesome. That's simply not the reality. And so often I think we're getting caught, our society is getting caught in this idea that we must have the utopia. We must compel everyone to agree and to get in line with our utopia. And we have absolutely traded gratitude for the things that we do have with entitlement. And with that comes this like angry animosity that we are going to compel the actions of others. And so here we are, upset, frustrated that we don't live in a utopia, worried about what we don't have instead of worried about what we do have and living in reality. This is a fallen world. Man is sinful. And yet we live in a country based on this idea of natural rights, and we're not grateful for it. And it's just so tragic that maybe if these kids growing up really learned about the outcomes of socialism rather than the arrogant story they're being told that it just wasn't done right, communism just wasn't done right, Marxism just hasn't been implemented right, it's the people's fault, people won't get on board, maybe things would be a little bit different if they learned how this country really began, the foundational principles on which the structure was based, and the sacrifice that went into building it. But I think over and over and over, we get caught in this idea of, I deserve utopia. That we can't be grateful for what we do actually have. And I do not believe that that's something we're going to get in this lifetime and that we can compel to happen. But does that mean that we don't try? Absolutely not. So that being said, I think you can tell where I stand on the bike lanes. I would love for that to be the case. Simply not reality. Until next time, stay awake, stay watching.